Look at this week of politics. I would like to know from you who you are going to give your 12 points to and who you are going to give your nul point. Stuart, let's start with you.
Well, I think mine are probably a bit obvious, but I have to say I thought Kemi's performance at the King's Speech debate was very good and continues performances that she's been doing in the chamber, and has even been noticed by Nicki Minaj, of course, which is fantastic. And my nil point has to go to Keir Starmer. I think not even allowing his cabinet colleagues to have a discussion around the cabinet table about the future of his leadership was bizarre, at the least.
Terry, your 12?
I think 12 points.
What would your advice be to Labour?
Well, you're absolutely right, and I've got the scars on my back from it. And the reality is that that did us a tremendous amount of damage, and that is why under Kemi we are having a totally different approach. And I think one of the big problems here is that clearly Keir Starmer and the rest of the Labour Party have to take responsibility for this. Didn't spend enough time in opposition preparing for government if they were asked to serve. And that was quite evident immediately after the general election. I acted as the chief whip at the time, and it was clear that there was no legislation ready. It hadn't been written properly. And I think when you haven't done the sort of homework, if you like, in preparation, then you can understand why perhaps the public starts to think, well, what is it that you stand for?
Right.
And that's why
Okay.
in so many U-turns, because there was no preparation, no plan in place.
Ability, isn't it? The country needing it.
Yes, and in fairness, I think there's been a lot of soul searching going on with the party. I'm going to be completely honest with you. We have listened to what the public said. It was a very clear message at the last general election, and Kemi has been really clear that we have to unite as a party, and we're doing that. And actually, we're spending our time in opposition, doing the deep thinking and putting in together ideas and plans that we would implement if we're asked to serve again. And that's exactly what we need to do. And in doing that, we're not just talking to ourselves, we're actually getting out there and engaging with businesses. And I'm afraid what they're saying to us is that they're feeling absolutely battered at the moment because they've got so many taxes to pay, they've got more regulation to go through, and it's that sort of agenda that we're working on for the general election campaign.
I know you recently launched your first agricultural forum. So were farmers worried about that fertiliser tax that we heard Philip Weston talk about?
Yes, they were. I mean, they were worried about a whole host of things. Of course, the family farm tax was high on their minds. The fertiliser tax, definitely. The cost of diesel is really of concern to them. And yes, there are external influences here. Of course, there are. The war in the Gulf is obviously having an impact, but so too are those domestic decisions that have been made by the government. I hope that they'll start to think about this.
So
It is having an impact on people's, people's cost of living. And I think there is a point there about labelling, and that's why Vicky Atkins in our DEFRA team has been launching the campaign to sort of, close that flag loophole where you can put a unit back on there. It may not be British food.
very much. And to you at home for watching. Thanks for your company. We'll be back next week. Enjoy your Sunday. Bye-bye.